Hi everyone, it's Chenso from Reality Art Pod. I'm here to talk about everything that happened on week 7 of Big Brother 25. We'll talk about everything that happened on Jared's second and hopefully last HOH. We'll talk about the episodes throughout the week and cover the Thursday night double eviction. And at the end of the video, as usual, I'm going to be ranking the players from worst to best based on how well they're doing in the game at the end of the Thursday night episode. Before we dive in, if you like the videos, don't forget to be a supporter and subscribe and like the video. It may not seem like it does much, but it really helps to get the video out there, and I'm really trying to get to 100 subscribers before this season ends. So let's dive into it. We got the Sunday night episode, which was pushed back all the way to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. 10:30 p.m. is no longer prime time. That's bedtime. People need to go to sleep. On the previously on, the announcer wraps up Izzy's eviction saying, "The woodwind player would not win Big Brother." I guess there's writers on strike right now, but is that the best you could do? How about the flautist flopped? The flute player was a fluke. We get to the HOH comp, which is the wall comp. It's based on Josh for some reason. I could have done without this. For me, Josh is the worst winner of the show of all time. So of all the winners, it just seemed unusual and random to be basing an entire competition over Josh. And I need to know, sound off in the comments, who's your least favorite and favorite winners of the show? The house guests are all up hanging on the wall, and the person who hangs on the wall longest will be the winner. Felicia is excited and grateful to still be there. America says that she's built for this and she's channeling her inner Taylor Hale. Suri flashes back to her favorite hobby this summer, watching the HOH screen. In her flashback, Suri sees Izzy on the HOH screen and other people interacting her, and her Suri senses start tingling that Izzy's going to be voted out. So now she's worried about Izzy and she asks Jared to go investigate. So Jared's plan is to go to Matt and tell Matt that Jag told him that Izzy was going home. And it's a really complicated plan, but Jared does successfully trick Matt into telling him that Izzy is going home. So now that the Izzy boot theory is confirmed, they pull Corey, Suri, and Zaddy Josh Cutout into the have not room to talk about it more. So after they go around in circles with that, Corey and Matt meet privately to discuss it. Jared goes to talk to Felicia, and Felicia tells Jared that Matt told Felicia that she's staying. So now Jared's like, Matt was in on this too, what the hell? So Jared confronts Matt again about this, and Matt admits that he's voting out Izzy as well, and Matt says that he knew about the for real alliance that Jared had made, which really did happen, and Jared says, who's for real? And he lies, he badly lies, and then he pulls Corey and Bowie in. Why Bowie? So Corey's back, Corey lays it out for Jared, and tensions are rising. Jared lies to Corey's face and says for real is fake. Jared stands up and raises his voice. They have a circular argument, pointing fingers to and fro. This whole episode at this point has just become a big pissing contest between Jared and Corey. In my opinion, this segment goes on for far too long, and it's just ridiculous to have to update it because it's so many people moving around different rooms talking about the same thing. Corey has a diary room pointing out Jared's lies, and then Corey stands up and pops off. They summon Jag for more he said. Suri decides to join, and she walks past Cam in the living room, who is sitting there smugly enjoying the chaos that he claims responsibility for. Now Corey has summoned a witness, who is Jag. Corey asks the witness Jag if he talked to Jared, and this ends up exposing the initial lie that Jared told that got them into this entire argument. So this was just not a net gain for Jared. He was better off being blindsided by the Izzy vote than starting all this mess. Jared eventually admits to lying. That just is a sign that you're a terrible liar. Good liars never admit to their lie. The conversation continues to go around in circles with no real resolution. Corey on the live feeds admitted that he was just dragging this out to stall so that they couldn't flip the vote back in time for the eviction. Then Suri borrows a line from Cameron's book of quips and refers to herself as on an island. But we go back to the competition. Remember we were having an HOH competition? I forgot about it too. So they're up on the wall. Mostly everyone lasted longer on this wall in the episode than they did in real life. For example, on the live feeds, Suri fell down off the wall after 9 minutes. Suri falls off the wall 30 minutes into the episode. And oh yeah, remember that the competition is based on Josh? Josh asks, anybody like pink sauce? And they get blasted with pink goop. And not to be a stickler, but the goop I guess is supposed to be pink sauce, and it doesn't look like sauce, it just looks like Pepto-Bismol. They start getting hit with meatballs, which is kind of fun. Felicia wants Mr. Meatball to hit her harder. She says, hit me again, I could take it. I'm wondering, they have sauce and they have meatballs. Where's the spaghetti? I needed some spaghetti falling on them. Kind of like when they did the wall comp where there was hair falling on them. I have notes, I have suggestions, I have complaints. Felicia falls down next and she cutely rolls away. Mimi, America, and Corey all fall after. I have a big issue with the design of these challenges because the handholds for everyone seem to be at the same height. So all of these players who were around the same height all fell at the same time. It seems like it was really impossible for them to win this challenge. It used to be much more of an even playing field when I think about the wall competition from Big Brother 10 when they were just hanging on the wall with the bar, or the challenge from Big Brother 13 where they were just standing on the skis. In those challenges, anyone of any height could win the challenge. That makes things more fun as a viewer. Whereas nowadays, is players who are a bit taller have the advantage in this competition based on where the handholds are. They eventually get blasted with red sauce that actually looks the color of red sauce, and Josh's voiceovers continue to be a headache throughout this challenge. Matt then falls, and then it's Bowie, Blue, and Jared left. Suri is silently praying in the corner for Jared, and then Blue and Bowie both fall around the same time, so Jared wins HOH and Suri loses it with excitement, and rightfully so. This benefits her, and she's proud of her son. And this is Jared's second HOH. Many of the house guests are visibly disappointed, especially Corey. Suri says the house guests are going to learn do not mess with Jared's mama. Cameron says he feels alone, but hey, this may work in my favor. Now I'm all for optimism, but how the frick is this going to work in your favor, Cameron? After the HOH competition, Corey unpacked the argument that happened before the live eviction. Corey is worried he's the target this week, again, rightfully so. There's a sad segment where Matt has to say goodbye to Zaddy Josh cardboard cutout, and Zaddy Josh is upset that he's leaving, and he body slams Mimi on the way out in the storage room. Suri and Jared sob and celebrate in the HOH bedroom. He wants to target Cameron, and Suri agrees. Hashtag justice for Izzy. Jared tells Cameron that Cameron did Jared dirty. Cameron swears up and down and basically wants to sell his soul to Jared if he keeps him safe this week. Jared says, I'll think about it. So at the nomination ceremony, Jared ends up nominating Corey and America. Jared's target is still Cameron, and where the heck are the pies? Bring back the pies. Justice for the pies. Moving on to the Wednesday episode, Cameron is happy that he got through a nomination ceremony without being nominated, but he's worried he's being backdoored, and that's valid. Corey is nominated by his previous final two, Jared, aka Pooh, and that is just such a terrible nickname. Imagine your nickname was Pooh or Crap. Oh, everyone, do you mind if I invite my friend Blow Ass? America sees being nominated with her showmans as sexy, a bucket list item checked off, and a step towards victory. Jared assures America that Cameron is his target. She doesn't trust him, and he has been dragging her name through the mud for weeks on Big Brother, so that's fair. Jared goes on the Cameron is my target tour around the house, telling everyone about it. Corey tells Jared there's no hard feelings, even though the feelings are really, really hard. Jared doesn't trust Corey either. He says if Cam wins the veto, Corey and America's days are numbered. Corey suggests to Cameron that if Cameron wins the veto, to save one of Corey or America so that they have a chance as the threesome, nothing sexual, which makes sense because Corey and America are the closest thing that Cam has to allies. We get a scene of Jag telling Blue that Jared has been lying to her, and I think that this scene happened before the eviction the previous Thursday, and I think this is why Blue voted Izzy out so happily. Blue tells Jared that she heard he had another alliance. Jared lies to Blue about it, but then Jared lies about it in the diary room. He lied to us. He lied to me. You can lie to Blue. You can't lie to me, Jared. Their conversation intensifies. Jared tells Blue to calm down. She says to us that his response was so ass. I agree. It was so ass, girl. Purr. She says that she knows his secret and can blow up his game right now if she wanted to. Do it, girl. Purr. Felicia and Mimi meet in the storage room. Mimi tells Felicia that Suri and Jared plan to vote her out. Felicia is disgusted with Suri and Jared. They end up making a final two and hug, and they are so cute. I want this final two to really happen, and I'm serious about it. Blue, Matt, and Jag discuss aligning as a three. Blue says that her conversation with Pooh was shit, and that's what happens when you date someone named Pooh. The conversations are shit, and the relationship is caca. Blue is no longer going to feed Jared information. She tells us in the diary room that when she wants to chop him off, that's it for him. In private, Jag wants to trust Corey and America over anyone because he doesn't trust the people who have continuously been lying to him the entire game. They want to target Jared next. We'll see Jag go to conspire and build trust with Corey. This was great gameplay for Jag. They go to pick players for the veto. Corey gets house guest choice and doesn't pick Cam. He ends up choosing Jag. Bowie and Cam also end up getting picked, and now that Cam is picked, the stakes are very high for this competition. Before the competition, Suri goes to Jared and suggests that he nominates her if Cameron wins the veto and uses it. This sparked a lot of Suri hate, and fans found this very controversial. My take, and the reality is that Suri has been on tons of shows, and I don't think that Suri would have come on Big Brother if it wasn't an opportunity for Jared to have an opportunity, taking this awesome thing that she's done in her life and trying to show it to her son. So I'm personally not offended with Suri for wanting to sacrifice her game for Jared's. I understand it, but I'm also not the biggest fan of Jared, and I'm a huge fan of Suri, so I just hope that it doesn't actually end up happening. So Jared just has to go before Suri. That would solve everything. Suri admits that she'll always lay down her game for Jared, but right now this plan is only if Cam wins the power veto. The veto competition is based on football, you know, the sport that regularly delays our show and is the reason why this entire show is getting thrown off schedule. They have to run around a slippery field, collecting sweat, shooting from toes in a helmet. See, I'm really not the right audience for this because I'm watching Big Brother, not football. I don't even know what the hat is called. So it's a lot of running around and slipping. Hopefully we won't get a slip and slide HOH this season because we got this. America does pretty bad, but it's funny seeing her scramble. Corey decides to just stand there and wait for Sweat to come to him. My favorite part is at the end of their turn, they have to slip and slide all the way to the end into the end zone. Bowie Jane slips, slides, falls, gets squirted in the face, and that's just what's happening at New York's newest nightclub. But yeah, that's it for Bowie Jane. They make a mockery of her entire existence in this challenge, and they don't even show her finishing. Jag makes it look easy with triumphant music, but he does take a hard fall, which is fun. On Jared's turn, the chyron at the bottom of the screen shows his stats. Mom's in the house, 1. Cameron knows this comp is make or break it for him, so he shouts out, Omaha! I guess that's football. Cameron is seemingly the first person to try to figure out the sweat pattern from the toes, which seems like the best strategy because that's what they said to do in the rules of the game. So in the final scores, Jared is in third, second is Cam, and the winner of this challenge is Jag, who wins his second power veto this summer. And the whole house is thrilled because everything is going according to plan. Giving more credit to Cameron, this guy never gives up. He goes to the guys and he asks them to keep him safe, and again, he basically offers to sell his soul to them in the game. It doesn't seem worth it though. He's such a good competitor, they would be so silly not to vote him out. At the veto meeting, Jag uses the veto on Corey and Jared nominates Cameron in his place. This is all seeming very predictable because, as Cameron says, his game is a frog's fart away from being over. On the Thursday episode, Julie, I guess, is cosplaying as the Scaryverse. She's wearing a gray and purple ensemble, but who is looking at what she's wearing on that body when she has that new frick-ass bob on her head? Julie has a new haircut and everyone went wild. The internet gave mixed reviews about Julie's haircut. I say wear whatever haircut you want, girl. And we are entering the Scaryverse for a double eviction. So we pick up where we left off. Cam is on the block. America's nervous, but as confident as she can be. At this point, the show can try to trick us into thinking Cameron maybe won't go home, but Cameron's going home. So they spend the 10 minutes before the first eviction, really just telling us where everyone else in the house is at coming into this double. Suri talks to Mimi and tells her that she really wants to win HOH, and Mimi admits that she sees value in Suri as an ally. Matt asks Blue if she would target Jared if she won HOH, and she says, girl, I'm not stupid. Matt says if Blue doesn't nominate Jared, she'll look shady to everybody else. They get a transmission from the Scaryverse bank teller, and the message is all messed up. I guess the message was to create paranoia and hint to them about the twist that's coming up that I haven't talked about yet. Cam, with his newly straightened hair, says, oh, how the turntables have turntabled. From here on in, Julie has no time to waste. She welcomes them to Scary Week and tells them it's the double eviction. Nobody is shocked. In their speeches, America says, love the bob, Julie, you're her, and she shouts out everyone's feet. Cameron shouts out his family and asks to be on buddy games, and I think he would be great on buddy games. We get to the votes. Everyone votes for Cameron. Suri votes for Cameron and his hair, so by a vote of 7-0, Cameron is evicted. By a vote of 1-0, his hair is evicted as well. Julie tells Cameron that he's now a Big Brother zombie, so this is the twist that nobody wanted and nobody asked for. But I guess, oh, how the turntables have turntabled. The HOH competition is a buzzer competition about dating profiles, and I tried to play along with this, but it was hard. That's not a knock against production or anything. The challenge looked challenging, and that's okay. Suri really needed to win this HOH, and she came into it with a good winning attitude, but they all ganged up on her and she had to go 3 rounds in a row, eventually ended up losing a round. The final round was Blue versus Corey, and this would have been terrible for Blue to win. Corey ended up winning the HOH. My favorite part of the double evictions is the live scrambling. We got some live scrambling. Blue tried to make a deal with Corey. If she won the veto and wasn't nominated, she wouldn't pull Jared off the block. Jared doesn't even try to save himself. He just goes up to Corey and says, great job, it is what it is. At least try. You know who would try? Cameron. Corey ends up nominating Jag and Blue, which is probably the most optimum thing you could do in this situation, especially knowing that it was probably going to be the clown shoe POV and Suri was never going to win the clown shoe veto. Matt, Jag, and Mimi get picked to play in the POV. They are slaying monsters in the clown shoe veto. So instead of getting clown shoes, they're getting various weapons to stab and kill these monsters. I'm surprised that Julie went along with this. Maybe that's why she showed up as her alter ego, Mistress Julie Chen Isabel Brooks. The challenge is very fast paced. It's very intense. Everyone's going very, very, very fast. Matt ends up winning the veto. Go Matt. And this was Team Good TV. I was drinking my Diet Coke and I was like, slurp, 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 slurp. I was really nervous during the commercial break here that Suri would somehow tell them to evict her. So super relieving. Matt ends up keeping the nominations the same. Julie says it's been a crazy night inside the Big Brother house, and then Jared is evicted 6-1. The one vote to keep Jared, of course, was Suri. There was a second where I was wondering if Suri would vote out Jared, but if the secret gets out, her having voted out her son is just another thing on her resume that makes her more of a target in the game. And Suri Suri really holds it together through Jared's eviction. After Jared's evicted, Julie pulls in Cameron and tells them both that they'll be returning to the house as zombies. So I guess the two of them are going to go back into the house, and then at the end of next week, one of them will be evicted. So this is a fake double eviction, and next week we have a regular eviction of one of the two of them, I guess. Julie ends up wrapping things off on an awful note, saying the only thing scarier than the house this week is our schedule, and there's not going to be any Wednesday episode, and the Sunday episode, again, is going to be around 10 p.m. And the way that she delivered this, like some kind of sick joke, is very much just like, I shit in your Cheerios, ha ha ha. So let me get to the ratings for this week. I'm not going to count Jared and Cam as evicted house guests just yet. The way I see it, they're both in danger of being the next person evicted, but they're not evicted. So here I am, once again, ranking 11 players. There are a lot of changes to my rankings because time has passed, things have happened. At number 11, in dead last, I actually have Jared this week. It was already a lot of bad, but the saving graces to his game were the fact that Suri was his mom, she was protecting him, she was willing to fall on her sword for him. I think the fact that he was literally evicted tonight, it's just not an easy thing to overcome in the game. He was already in a place where he was personally disliked by a lot of the house guests and they weren't going to vote for him in a final two. And now, even if he wins his way back into the house, he has to go against this wall of house guests that are coming for him week after week. So yeah, I have him at number 11. Last week he was 10th. And while I'm talking about Jared, I might as well just also talk about Cameron, who I have as 10th, and last week he was 11th. Cameron, who also got evicted tonight. For either of these guys, coming back into the game is pretty much going to be most likely a revolving door. We've seen much better players come back in a buyback and lose. The biggest reasons that I put Cam above Jared this week are A, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Cameron just doesn't give up. Jared kind of rolled over and died when it was time for him to get evicted. So if it's anything to do with a head-to-head competition to get back into the game, I think Cameron's got Jared beat. If it's anything to do with a vote to get back into the game, I think Cameron's also got Jared beat. The new majority alliance in the house is too deep in their plan to evict Jared to turn back on it now, given that they've already evicted Jared. So I don't know, it's bad for them both. I wish I can give them a tied 11th. Next up, in 9th, I have Blue, and Blue was showing some promise in the game this week, talking about evicting Jared. That was going to be her big move that she was going to make potentially. And now she can't do that because he's already been evicted. So unless he comes back and then she decides to cut him later in the game, like I really feel like evicting Jared is Blue's path to victory, but is she really going to do it? I'm just doubtful. And don't get me wrong, I'm Team Good TV. I would love to see it. But I stand by what I've been saying is I think that Blue is most likely a pretty terrible player. Last week I had her in 9th. Here she is at 9th again. I think she's most likely to be at the bottom of any alliances that are formed. And she's doing way too good on the competitions that she's losing. They're going to know that she's good at competitions and want her out pretty soon. At number 8 on the list, unfortunately, I have Suri, who was 4th last week in my ranking. It's just looking more and more bleak as time goes on. She's, at this point, lost her 2 minions who could win competitions back to back, and Izzy and Jared were pretty much ride or dies for Suri. So I just wondered to myself, where does she go from here? And if she wasn't Suri, iconic, legendary Survivor player that everyone's seen on TV and Corey knows her game so well, she probably could find her way back into the game and just be not looked at as a threat. But they know Suri. So I think her reputation is just the biggest problem that she's facing right now. But with Jared gone, if he stays gone, she can refocus, reintegrate herself, rebuild some relationships, and I really feel like he was the information leak that was sinking her game. So it could get better, but based on the fact that she's probably going to be evicted before all the other people that I'm going to talk about, I had to put her here as number 8. At number 7 on my list, I have Bowie Jane, and Bowie was 8th last week, and she moved a little bit further because of other people's mistakes. I still can't see any way that Bowie Jane wins the game, but I can see her slipping and sliding her way all through the game. There's always going to be a bigger target than Bowie. There's always going to be somebody that slides down the list further down than her. But actually, let me know in the comments, what do you feel like is Bowie Jane's best strategy to win the game? For me, I guess her best strategy would be maybe try to get the bye-bye bitches back together, but she would have to comp out and be the person taking them to the end. But let me know what you think, because I am clueless on this one. Getting into my top 6, I think these are the people that are best set up to actually potentially win the game right now. So at number 6, I have Felicia, who was 7th last week, a slight improvement. The biggest improvement for me is the fact that she's falling more and more into this middle position where people aren't targeting her. I really feel like the worst, rockiest part of her game was when Suri was turning on her and Suri and Izzy wanted Felicia out. But now she's back in a place where Suri needs her. The other side of the house doesn't see her as a threat. Nobody's going to want to waste their HOH getting Felicia out. And Felicia's game is on an upswing because she has a final 2 deal with Mimi, and that is going to be really important for her moving forward. But you know what? I haven't gotten a good shopping list from Felicia in a while. Can I just just get a grocery list for old time's sake, Felicia? Y'all know I'm greedy and I ask for too much. At number 5, I have Corey, who last week was third. And if you remember, the reason why I had him up so high last week is I felt like he was going to get all the credit for the flip against Izzy and none of the blame. I thought the blame would end up going towards America. But the fight with Jared really wasn't good for Corey's game. It made him the figurehead of the anti-Jared movement. Winning HOH and taking Jared out of the game also doesn't help. It wouldn't matter if the person that he evicted didn't have a chance to return into the game and seek vengeance, and if it wasn't a strong competitor, and if their birth mother wasn't in the game. So based on the fact that he's coming out of this double eviction covered in blood, it's a little dip for me, dog, for now. At number 4, I have Jag, who is in a bit of an upward swing in the last few weeks. He's starting to have much better reads, and I feel like people really don't give Jag much credit. Like, I think that he's very underrated in the Big Brother community. The Jared-Cirie secret relationship and the information leaking, especially from Jared and Blue, really messed with his entire first half of his game, but now that he has the clarity on that, he can finally play on an even playing field with everybody else. And yes, a lot of that was his fault because he wasn't reading the situations right, so that's why I also had him ranked pretty low, but I'll give him credit where credit is due. He is improving in the game. He's getting himself into a place where he's tightly aligned with Matt. He has a good idea to get closer to Corey and America, and he's winning competitions. I think at this point, what's keeping him from being towards the top end of this list with some other players, I don't think he's either as active in the game as some of these other players have been consistently, or as successful with moves in the game as some of these people have been. If he wants to win, he needs to start doing things that he can actually take credit for at the end. At number 3, I have America, and this is what I'm talking about. America's someone who is very active in the game. She is respected in the game. The other players are choosing to sleep on America because she's proven not to be very good at competitions. So they're not really worried about her in the short term, which is very good for her in the long term. A few weeks ago, Jared accused America of throwing competitions, but everyone's seeing her do very badly at the wall competition, do badly in the double eviction competitions. It really is good for her game because there are times when her game is really in peril and she's not winning these things, which makes them think that they can bring her along pretty far. I guess the thing is she would have to at some point start winning something. Otherwise they're just right and they're going to drag her along and then cut her whenever they want. So I hope that doesn't happen. And also she has a lot of agency in the game. She has a track record of making things happen. She was the catalyst behind the entire Izzy flip. She put in the work for that. She made it happen and she could take credit for it. So yeah, here's America at number 3, up a few spaces from last week where I had her as 5. At number 2, slight shakeup here, but I have Matt, who last week I had as number 1. The reason I had him as number 1 was he was playing the Middle East game and he was really playing everybody. He had relationships at both sides of the house, especially closely knit with Cirie, and I feel like this contribution to evicting Jared and winning the veto, not using it, and his veto speech was a lot of card showing, a little too much card showing for number 1 placement this week, which brings me to my number 1 player for the week, which is Mimi, who is always towards the top of my list. There's a lot of good here this week from Mimi. Firstly, forming that final 2 with Felicia, who I think Mimi could be in a final 2. If they're in the final 2 together, Mimi would have put in a lot of work to get them there. Secondly, securing the most Middle East spot in the game. She's still tight with Cirie. She's still tight with the other side of the house. She's going to be the person that Corey and America come to and that Jag and Matt come to when it's time for them to square off against each other. And she made it through the double eviction, really not doing much to show any cards to anybody of where she's at in the game. So she comes into this in a really strong place. Neither of the 2 people who are coming back into the game have any bad blood with her. So I feel good about it for Mimi, good enough to move her from number 2 back to the number 1 spot. So there you have it, week 7, double eviction where nobody went home. I'll be back next week where I guess I'll have a shorter episode because I'm only talking about 2 episodes, assuming that either Jared or Cam will be evicted next Thursday. But yeah, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to this video. It means a lot to me that I get to 100 subscribers by the end of this season because I told myself when I got to 100 subscribers, I would buy myself a new computer, and I already bought the computer. So I kind of went out on a limb to support myself in this project. Please be a supporter. I'm so appreciative to everyone who watches these videos. It means a lot to me. I'll see you next week. Bye.